Everywhere I go, people have a really strong opinion on the Indian media. The Indian media isn't free. You all are totally biased. This is what we hear all the time. And then people also say the media is in the pocket of big business or in the pocket of netas. What's the truth? First, some facts. There are 144,000 registered newspapers in India. In news channels, well, till 1991, there was only one channel in India, Doordarshan. Remember that famous tune? Still embedded in my memory. Well, today there are 392 news and current affair channels. And the next wave of big change in the media is here. With more than 600 million active internet users in India, 70% of Indians access their news content today via their mobile phones. 53% use YouTube and 51% depend on WhatsApp. So, to borrow from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous poem, "Water, water everywhere and not a drop to drink," why is it that on the one hand, the news media seems to be exploding, thriving, expanding, but we, the viewers, the readers, are unfulfilled and sometimes even starved of good content? Here's the deal. These are the factors that impact how free or not free the press in India is. Number one, politics. Will Indian politicians continue to talk to you if you criticize them? The answer is a resounding no. Unlike in the US, for instance, where a First Amendment on free speech is culturally sacred and late night shows routinely make fun of the American president, in our country, the first thing a powerful neta will do is to cut you off if he doesn't like you. That is, snap your access. Number two, revenue model and access to capital. Let me say this plainly. The revenue model of news in India is broken. A single cigarette, is often more expensive than most newspapers. It started with what's been called the predatory pricing by the powerful Times of India group. And it's led to a situation today where most Indian newspapers need government advertising to operate. Now, the government has spent nearly $1 billion on advertising in news media in the last 3 years. That's 900 crores and counting. So the first thing a government can do, whether at the state or center, is to turn off that tap of advertising. The Chinese wall meant to exist between advertising and editorial content is a great idea, but it's sometimes impractical. And television news? Well, the reason TV news is filled with the same old talking heads saying the same thing night after night after night is, you guessed it, talk is cheap. Newsrooms have started spending less and less money to put boots on the ground. In fact, during COVID, when we drove by road and we were just 4 people then from Delhi to Kerala, we were shocked to see how few TV reporters there were on the ground. TV news is rarely profitable, so invariably it's the giant corporations that get into the business. And since these corporations also have other business interests, mining, telecom, airports, they want to be on the right side of all governments. Number 3, partisanship and polarization. As our politics gets more polarized, our media gets more partisan. This is not just an Indian phenomena, it's a global phenomena. Hence in America, you have, for instance, the battle of Fox News versus MSNBC, both in either ideological camp. And now the same thing has happened in India. I call it the Chamcha Morcha syndrome. Many journalists choose sides and identify with either the left or the right. And they're either chamchas who are sucking up to power or morchas who think their job is to bring down governments. At Mojo, when we proudly say we're neither, we're called old-fashioned. The audience, you the people, complain non-stop about the bias in media. But here's the truth. You also look for confirmation bias. You respond very nicely if I praise a leader or a party or an opinion that you agree with. But if I disagree or if I have an opinion that you don't like, you'll immediately be critical. And finally, there's the factor called technology. The fact is that today, anyone with a mobile phone and an internet account can be a broadcast journalist or a storyteller. So if everyone is a storyteller, who is a journalist? There are no easy answers to that question. Indian media has seen three different tyrannies in its evolution. The tyranny of the state, when government owned media. The tyranny of the market, when commerce dictated content. And now we're in the age which is sometimes defined by the tyranny of the algorithm, hence the need for clickbait headlines so we can get people like you, all of you, to click on our links. Washington Post masthead, paper I write for, says, democracy dies in darkness. But in India, on some evenings, democracy dies or at least diminishes a little bit in prime time. We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in our small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either Chamcha or Morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community.